Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Sammy, United People's TV. It's Wednesday, the 8th of October. It's the international break, I know. But there's plenty to speak about. I'm going to bring you the latest United news, as I do every single day, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. Well, 10:03 a.m. Sometimes 10:04 a.m. Occasionally 10:05 a.m. Don't sue me. We'll run through who's actually getting involved in internationals, what games you should be watching if you want to, and when they are playing. Like Mbumo's playing at 2 p.m. today. There you go. Bit of news for you. We're also going to have a conversation about Zirkzee being unhappy. Not really too much of a surprise. We'll speak about him, his future at Manchester United, what you think will happen. We'll also speak about Kobe in the same sort of vein and situation. Just more whiffy reports on Bruno, but I'll be honest, I think they're all... It's not that I think they're correct. It's just I think what they're talking about will probably happen. We'll also speak about Ruben Amorim, a report from Rob Dawson from ESPN, and also another young signing that United are making. Well, looking to make. In 17-year-old Senegalese midfielder Mohamed Dabo. All right? I'm going to cover it all. You're going to get involved in the chat. And you fire in your comments, you fire in your questions, and it kind of steers how the conversation goes. You know the drill by now. Whiffy indeed. Good old Whiffy. Wiffle ball. Is that a game in America? Wiffle ball. It's like softball's just like a big version of rounders? Am I making these things up now? Don't know. Sidetrack. Let's see who's here from the mods and the members gang. Let's get on with today's show. Josh, good morning to you. Carl, you're there as well. Alex, good morning to you. We've got some members too. We've got Toby, how you doing? We've got Teresa, we've got Dean. We've got Stephen. We've got Gungshi, the GOAT. Chris, we've got Craig. And Gungshi, the GOAT, comes in strong. When did you give 10 memberships? I didn't even see that. That was earlier. You ledge. You absolute icon. Just a bunch of good people here. You know that. That's what it is. Just a bunch of good people. Now, let's roll the sleeves up. Let's get on with today's show. Right? As always, please do fire in your questions, and I'll try and engage with as many of you as I can throughout the show. Now, sometimes I get distracted. Sometimes I nibble on a troll here or there. I like calling them out sometimes. It's good fun. Right, in terms of the internationals, now you might not give a toss about internationals. To be honest, I don't either. All right, I can't tell you the last time I actually watched when was the last time? Anybody in the chat? When was the last time you watched like a full game of football in the international break? Like, hand on heart. I can't remember. I just kind of switch off from football in a good way. One random thing here before we get into speaking about who's playing and where. The players must love the international breaks, mustn't they? You know how, like, fans, we all hate it because it breaks up club football. You've got to wait 2 weeks between games. The players must really enjoy having a break from being at their club. I suppose being at their job. And then just kind of going away on a jolly for a week or two with their international teammates. Mike, you're saying you go to every Welsh game? You're off to Wembley tomorrow? I did. Honestly, man, it was only yesterday I realised that Wales are playing England. Well, I hope you get pumped. I hope Wales get pumped by England. Not you actually getting pumped. But, yeah, this is what's happening in the international break. I don't know why they've got Andrew and Nana there. I mean, I suppose he's only on loan. But Mbuma and Nana, of course, could play for Cameroon. James Scanlon could be playing for Gibraltar. I think they play this afternoon. Mazraoui. Now, there's photos of Mazraoui training. Well, not training. Well, at training. With Morocco, but he's actually injured. So I don't think he's actually going to play. But he's just gone out there, I suppose, to continue his rehabilitation from his injury. Dorgu and Højlund could be playing for Denmark. Casemiro and Cunha could play for Brazil. And I really, really hope that Diego Leon gets a chance. I don't know who plays at left back, or I don't even know what system Paraguay use. I can have a look into it. I don't imagine Diego Leon will be making his international debut in this international break, but at least he's enjoying himself by being out there. So yeah, in terms of United players today, you got Mbumo playing against Mauritius at 2 p.m. and you got James Scanlon playing for Gibraltar at 6 p.m. James Scanlon, I don't know anybody down here who's watched the under-21s for the last couple of years. Like, there's been a lot of youngsters who have got opportunities, who have come through. I'm kind of surprised that Scanlon's never really got an opportunity. That dude has scored. I don't know who the top goal scorers are for the under-21s, but I imagine James Scanlon's right up there for the last 18 months, if not the top goal scorer. He has bagged a lot of goals for that team. Never really got a chance. Don't really know why. What are we saying down here? Needs to be an interesting game like Spain versus England. Rev saying, just started watching Ted Lasso. It's good. I'm happy for you. I'm not watching. What am I watching right now? Oh, what's it called? I can't remember. It is an Apple series, and it's based in Japan. No, based in South Korea when they were occupied by Japan, and a guy comes back in time, and it's kind of, damn it, what's it called? Anyway, it's subtitled. I'm like 2 or 3 episodes into it, and I'm really enjoying it. Right, let's run through the news now. That's just a little roundup of the internationals. Senna. 1, 2, 3. Senna. Right, I've taken all the feedback on board. Right, it's not Senny Sam, you idiot. Someone yesterday saying, Sam, I really get triggered when you say that. Maybe I was even getting it wrong after I was saying how to pronounce it. Silo, great series. Anybody not watch Silo? Watch it. Alex, no, I see that there's a parcel coming. I believe that's the one you sent. It got sent, and it should be coming tomorrow, I think. Actually, I think it might come later today. But if it does, we'll do that tomorrow. That's Senna. And Thibaut Courtois, of course, out training for Belgium. And I tell you what, hell of a mentor and a role model for him to have. Hell of a role model. I don't know. Is he still I'm guessing he's still the first choice goalkeeper for Belgium. I mean, he must be. Anyway, it's cool. The name pronunciation debacle is hilarious. You wait until we sign some other players, then I'll be screwed. Slow horses as well. Someone's mentioning that down there. I don't know why it took me so long to get onto slow horses, but I'm glad. If you haven't watched Slow Horses, go and watch it. Gary Oldman's phenomenal, and it's a great idea for a series because spy series, secret agent, MI5 stuff can get a little bit boring and repetitive because it's kind of cookie cutter, isn't it? This one is a little bit of a different spin on a similar sort of conversation. And I think that's what makes it fun. Right, let's move on and let's speak about some more signings. So, Christian Orozco. We covered this over the last week or two. And I remember the title of the video. I said, this is exactly the sort of signing I want to make more of. I want Man United to make more of, not me. But now we're having a conversation about United making more of said signings. So, this here is Mohamed Dabo. He's a 17-year-old Senegalese midfielder who, according to Fabrizio Romano, United are working on the signing of him after being satisfied with his trial. Several things still need to be finalised before the deal can be completed, but United are pushing ahead with another young midfield signing. Now, I'll play a little bit of this whilst we're having a conversation in the background. This is Mohamed
underway.
Number 13. That's him there, right? You can just see a little bit of how he plays. Because I don't particularly think you'll get slapped with copyright for playing under 18s Senegalese football. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But a couple of points to raise here. First of all, it's actually quite a decent set. This is also from one game. It's not like a compilation of how he's played. It's just like highlights of him in one game. But United are clearly going out in the market. And I always hate doing this. But and I'm not saying that he's Rodri, right? But watching it kind of feels like United probably want that Rodri type signing. Like if that's the name on the board and say, this is the sort of the game controller, the tempo setter, somebody who does have breaking line passes, somebody who is physical, somebody who can control himself. That's kind of what he looks like, in the same sort of way as Christian Orozco sort of looked like that. I think if you looked at the profile of Orozco and you looked at the profile of Dabo, damn it, there's another one. I don't even know his name. You're going to see quite a lot of similarities. So United are making moves to sign yet another midfielder like this. And there's going to be people saying, hold on here, Sam, what about Sekou Kone? If I was to compare the profile of Orozco, of Dabo, and Kone, I would say Kone's far more of a... he can play number 6 and he can play number 8. Kind of a little bit of blend of both. Smaller, diminutive, more diminutive profile compared to these two, who very much look like as I said, in the Rodri style of player. Colin is saying, why buy youngsters with promise if the summer strategy is again buy established midfielders and wing-backs at the same time playing show and Delors, not giving opportunities to existing younger players? Because this is a strategy that's not for next season, Colin. Like, this lad's 17. He turns 18 in July. Dabo is also 17. Realistically, they're 2 years away. 2 to 3. Let's say they are top level. You know, they can break through. They can break through earlier. Sure they are. But the strategy for United would be more bring these players in whilst they're 17. Give them that full season to develop in the shadows, in the backgrounds, in United's academy systems. Fine, that's okay, good. Then maybe if they've doing that, involve them in the first team in some way, shape or form, then they've got a year to do that. And then the third season is probably when they might break through. But this is about, Siraj, you're doing it down there, developing the future team squad. And if it doesn't work out, then you sell that player on for a profit. This is, again, part of the sustainable transfer policy that this club's just not bloody had. Now, something I want to speak about here, which I think's... I just wanted to get your take on this. So, of course, Luke Fedorenko's just left the club. He was our head of youth recruitment. And he's gone to, I think, work for, like, what was it? A major agency. Anyway. We're hearing about United signing Christian Orozco. We've got the here we go. We hear about United now, after trials, are in talks to maybe sign Dabo as well. I do wonder if Luke Fedorenko kind of felt somewhat undermined by what Chris Favell is doing there. I don't mean this in like a controversial way, but Chris Favell, we know, through his career, probably one of the things that earned him such praise and earned him the reputation that he had was spotting younger players. He was a talent spotter. Whether it's Amadou Haidara or Red Bull, there's like 4, 5, 6 or 7. There's loads of different names you can list off here. But that was what Chris Favell was very good at. Spotting foreign talent and bringing them in. Of course, being head of academy recruitment doesn't just revolve around spotting foreign talent. It's spotting the best domestically as well. And I don't know. I don't know the exact layout of Luke Fedorenko's role. But you speak about Orozco, you speak about Dabo, you speak about these things. They all feel like Chris Favell style signings. And it may well be that Luke Fedorenko thought, well, it feels like United are actually, while I can still do my job, and I have done and enjoyed my job, from a youth perspective, when it comes to finding those gems, I feel in pretty safe hands with Chris Favell. I don't know about domestic recruitment. I've no idea about that. I don't know if that's down to one individual. I don't know. Because domestically, I need to look at the sort of scholarship entries every single year. But mainly, I'm guessing those that come into the under-18s and under-16s are brought into the club, Manchester United, at a younger level, and they work their way through the ranks. It's not to say that we don't sign any English players who are 16 and over. But I don't know off the top of my head. Either way, this is another name that we could be speaking about. May well do just a little who is he video, not just yet. We'll let that slide for a little bit, but a very similar looking profile, having watched some compilation videos, very similar looking player to Christian Orozco, and the player that receives the ball from deep, receives the ball from his defence, and also has the ability to break lines, switch play, and also a very physical player. Sieg saying we need a spotter for foreign talent and a domestic one. I imagine we probably do have that. It might not be somebody that we've got visibility of. It might not be somebody like Chris Vavell, who has a name and a reputation outside of Manchester United, but of course we'll have that. Yeah, you've got to get both right? What else is he saying down here? Have I missed some super chats? What's going on? Sam, you got to do a video on United's psychology post Fergie. How long's a piece of string? I think if I was to do that and do a video on psychology United post Fergie, I think it would be, I'll be honest, I don't think it's going to be a video that a lot of United fans would want to watch, because it'll be kind of repeating things that have already happened, and I'd be like pulling up stuff that's buried that no one really wants to speak about. It's what I always try and do with the videos. Sometimes you look backwards, like the Roma video we did is looking backwards, but through a different angle. I think it was quite a fresh angle, like revisiting the fights that happened before and after the game, stuff that people might have forgotten about. If we were to do a video on the psychology and the problems, I'd probably focus on right now and try and pull in what's happening at other clubs to try and get a bit of a better understanding of what's going on right now, rather than the problems that have happened before. We already know all the problems that have happened before and we can't fix them. Whereas if you talk about what's happening right now, then you can speak about how maybe you can solve the problems that's currently going on. That'll be a damn depressing video as well. Sam, you'd have to study psychology first and get a degree before that. What are you saying down there? Can you do a video on Jim Thwaites? I don't think I want to do a video just on Jim Thwaites just yet. Obviously, he's been training with the first team, but this may well be a name that we hear in the future. But I said it after we signed the Christian Orozco. I said it after we signed Diego Leon. United need far more of these signings. You know, I said 1 in 5. If one of Orozco, Leon, or Dabo, or Kone, if one of those 4 players ends up becoming a first-team top player for us, then we've nailed it. And then the others, they could well become squad players. And if they can't become squad players, then we will sell them on, and they will go on to have successful careers maybe in other teams. And then they'll benefit from that. And then we'll benefit from that. Alex, good morning to you, dude. What are you saying? You're saying, listen to Talk of the Devils this morning before the live. That's a lot of United. Going to hear United turn down signing Wharton due to the optics of signing from the Championship club. Hope that person who decided has left. Man, you know what? The Championship really is, and I still feel the Championship is massively untapped. Massively untapped. You always look abroad. You look for the bright, shiny things. There's so much quality in that Championship. Being able to pick the right player that can make that step up is one of the problems. And also the environment of Crystal Palace versus Manchester United allows a player like Wharton to take that next step. It's kind of like the step up from academy football to first team football at United is a chasm. It's huge. The step up from the Championship to the Premier League is huge. The step up from the Championship to being a Manchester United player. Who was the last player that we signed from the Championship? Randomly in my head, I'm thinking Wilf Zaha. I'm thinking Nick Powell. Was he signed from the Championship? We used to do it a couple of times. Always felt sorry for Zaha. I thought he could have been an absolutely mustard signing if Fergie stayed, but he didn't. Who was the last player? That's Dan James? Was it Dan James? Fair play, Tony, but I think it probably was Dan James, you know. But we've done it a few times before. And Dan James ended up being one of those, the 4th most profitable signing that we've bloody Sorry, fourth most profitable sale that we've ever done. Something like that. Chris Smalling. That's another good one. And yeah, this is a good little... Who was Chris Smalling playing for? Was it Maidstone? If I made that up? Who else? Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Palace were in the Championship when we signed Zaha. I'm pretty sure they were. I think was it Nick Powell from Wigan? I think he was. What other players did we sign from Championship clubs? Anyone else? Come on, I'm leaving it open. I'm looking at the chat. Was it Smalling? Was it Fulham? I think he was at Maidstone when he started. He started his career, wasn't he? Phil Jones for Blackburn. That's a good one. You could almost do... I'd say you could almost do a video on this. I mean, you could do, I suppose. But yeah, as much as I'm enjoying United looking further afield, looking to the South American market, which I've already said a million times is something that we have to be better at, and we're starting to, hopefully, sign some players. Christian Orozco from Colombia, Diego Leon from Paraguay, and maybe Mohamed Dabo from Senegal, and the African markets as well. And Sekou Kone, was it Mali we signed him from? Gadars FC. Powell's in League 2. Damn. Antonio Valencia from Wigan. Geez, we're going back here. It's a good little part of the show here. It's problem is you have to go back. You have to go back to when United did it. The Championship, for sure, is something that United need to look at closer. There are talents there to be had. Maybe at academy level, but also at first team squad level. Right, let's move on. Let's have a conversation which, I'll be honest, this has to be one of the least surprising conversations that I think we're going to have this season about players and how happy they are. Lee Grant from Stoke City. I still don't even know what Lee Grant was. I remember calling him like painter decorator at United. Laundryman. I don't know. Didn't play though. Isn't he manager of Huddersfield? Is he manager of Huddersfield now? I think he is. Joshua Zirkzee. Right. You will not be surprised to read and hear reports that Joshua Zirkzee is... This is from Daily Mail from Nathan Salt and Chris Wheeler. That Joshua Zirkzee wants out of Manchester United. That he's frustrated. I'll read through the article. We can have a chat. You can let me know what you think about... Let me know now, actually. What do you think about this? Do you just see it as guff reports? I'll be honest, there has to be an element of truth to this. Because I think we've all probably thought it behind the scenes. Anyway, this is what it's saying. Joshua Zirkzee's frustration with his current situation at United has reached a point where he's looking for an exit route in January. Confidential understands the player is deeply frustrated at his situation, and a move in January is seen as crucial if he is to force his way back into the reckoning for the Netherlands World Cup squad. There are any Dutchies down here in the chat. In the same sort of way that De Ligt is overlooked by Koeman, from the outside looking in, it's always seemed like Zirkzee's been overlooked too. Like he hasn't really got that many opportunities. Paul is saying, on another note from yesterday's show, it's pronounced Famana. Well, it's on the board there. I know you can't see it there, but you all know what it is. And a random thing here. If anybody's watching and they're part of like a United supporters club from around the world, send something in. It can just be a letter. It can just be a little postcard like that. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. If you want to send in cool stuff, I'd love to take that as well. Well, I'd take that. I'd love to put it up here. I can't wait until this wall is full. I think it's going to be such a cool visual representation of just how big and global this community is. We're just getting started on it. And to Fran, I've got your photos here. I can't put them all up because it'll take the entire board up. I'm going to get a few of these up today. These are from 99, remember? That was the one I liked the most. Oh, that was a class photo. What are the good ones you've got in here? That's a good one. Can't knock that. Colden York. Should do a little mini doc on Colden York. Already done one on Cole. Yeah. He's great, isn't he? Photos of United being good. I feel like I'm at my granny's house. You know, you go to a granny's house and she's always got Like photo albums. OG photo albums. You just sit there looking through old school photos. Just feels different. It's quite nice. Mr. Men saying talks about Martinez from Villa. Are we talking about that again? Really? Really talking about that again? Don't know. Let me see what anyone else is. Are there any, like, as I said, Dutch fans down here in the chat? Zirkzee's got talent, says Ant, but he doesn't really fit the system or the league. Best he moves on. We treat our strikers horribly, says Antonio. I mean, he's not a striker. Colin saying it's okay, Zirkzee leaving, but Mainoo it's not. Look, Zirkzee. Number one, I'm not surprised to hear that he's frustrated. When it comes to United's transfer strategy, like, we have collected number 10 style players. We really have. Pep down there, he's saying, Dutchy here. It's true because we play a 4-3-3 with Memphis in the front. Now Memphis is injured and Coman would still put Weghorst up front instead of Zirkzee. That's why I found that, like, this idea that he wants to force his way into the Dutch squad. I mean, I understand the ambition of it, but I think even if Zirkzee was playing kind of week in, week out for United, I'm not sure that he would get into the Dutch squad. Because of that. Because of this, again, from a positional perspective, there isn't the exact position for him. You know what? I've got a lot of sympathy for Zirkzee. I really do. You know, in the same way that, what I put in the same way as Haaland, and I don't have any bad blood towards Haaland at all. It's just that he felt like a broken player when he left. People tried to dig me out, trying to say that I was a hypocrite in changing my opinion on Haaland, which is just completely false. Because the conversation about whether Haaland should have been separate to a central midfielder signing this summer, but it wasn't. You know, the club made them connected. Hence why I would have rather kept Haaland and signed a central midfielder than gone bing on Šeško. That was my preference in the summer. I stand by it. But Zirkzee was brought in, his words not ours, as a 9.5. I'm not a striker. I'm not a number 10. I'm somewhere in between. I call him a supporting striker, somebody who just plays behind the centre forwards to receive the ball and kind of feed them. But United now, am I going to play Zirkzee ahead of Cunha? No. Am I going to play Zirkzee ahead of Mbeumo? No. Am I going to play Zirkzee ahead of Bruno in one of those positions? No. Am I going to play Zirkzee ahead of Mainoo there? Well, I don't think Mainoo's ever going to play there. But no, I don't think I would. So I can understand his frustrations, but like what you're seeing here, people, and this is what I'm going to do my lunchtime video on. This was an absolute inevitability when United lost that game against Spurs. We lost that game against Spurs and we went down to one game a week. And then we lost against Grimsby and then we went down to even less games. At a top-level club, you cannot keep top Mason Mount as well. There you go. I'm not going to play Zirkzee ahead of Mason Mount. You get the point here. Like, I think you can be frustrated if you want that Zirkzee's not playing, but I don't think it's an incorrect decision from the players who were ahead of him. I don't, like sometimes you can see like people are angry at Luke Shaw getting opportunities ahead of others and Diogo Dalot as well. I don't look at any of our number 10s thinking that they shouldn't be getting opportunities ahead of Zirkzee. He's just further down the pecking order. It's unfortunate for him, and I'll be honest, and it's something I'm going to put into the lunchtime video because I remembered it. Andy Mitten spoke to Jay from Stretford Paddock back in the summer, and he said, like, you can take me to court on this. Šeško was United's number 1 target last summer. And for one reason or another, United couldn't afford him. So what happened then? Who did we sign? Joshua Zirkzee. Who did we then sign this summer? Benjamin Šeško. The person that we wanted ahead of Zirkzee last summer. So unfortunately for him, it feels like we've got the man that we wanted ahead of him a year after him. It is unfortunate. Pep, you're saying he doesn't get a chance, and he doesn't really get a chance. I'm not saying like, he's played. No, he doesn't get a chance. He's had a couple of appearances from the bench. They've been fleeting. And Steph, look, from a selfish club perspective, you're bang on there saying Mbeumo and Ahmad are off to AFCON, so Zirkzee will get his chance. So this is where it becomes really difficult, because what's best for what's best for Manchester United? Keeping Zirkzee. Of course it is. Of course it's what's best for our club. We want options. What if, touch wood, touch all sorts of wood, what if Šeško gets an injury? Then what do we do? We want Zirkzee, sure. But what does he do for his own opportunities? Well, he'd probably seek to move elsewhere. So what's best for Zirkzee and what's best for Manchester United are now two different things. And it's hard to keep a completely cohesive and together dressing room in those sorts of situations. And this was inevitable when you don't have European football. And also, this is a big part of his own frustration, is he put the hard yards in. Like, we saw how much leaner he looked going into pre-season. Well, because of the work that he did in the off-season. You know, everyone had their fitness plans. He clearly stuck to his, and he stuck to the food as well, because he looked in great shape. A lot leaner than he did when he arrived from Bologna. Because that size really, really stopped him playing. Let me see what you're saying down here in the chat. Would anyone bring in Mr. Berger from Nepali midfield? I got no idea what you're talking about. We used to have 4 strikers on the bench. Now we'd have none. We also played 2 up front at that time, Jason, when we had 4 strikers. We only play 1 up front now. What are you saying down here? Zirkzee needs a fair shot. He's come good so far. Zirkzee would have been ideal for the cup games to give the other players a rest, but that plan collapsed when we lost to Grimsby. Alex saying Zirkzee needs to get it fit first and fight for the opportunity. If he doesn't want that, then fine, move him on. I think he is fit. I don't think anyone's ever looked at that and thought he's not fit. A bit like Cobby. He's fighting for his chance, and we'll speak about Cobby next, actually. If Šeško gets injured, Ruben will play Mount or Bruno. As long as it's not Cunha. I think he played Cunha there. Really annoys me, that. Cunha should not play there. Linton saying, what? Let's say Zirkzee leaves, what happens next season if we get European football? Well, that's something that we would solve in the summer. Now, we've got number 10s coming out of our ears. Truth be told. And as I said, I'm going to go in that in a bit more detail, but Zirkzee wouldn't be a Manchester United player if we got the player that we wanted originally, and that's Benjamin Šeško, from the mouth of Andy Mitten. Unfortunately for him, we then gone out and signed that same player the year after. The player that we wanted in the first place. I feel for him, but I think this is just going to go down to probably a poor purchase from a squad building perspective at Manchester United. I think that's what I wouldn't say that Zirkzee is a bad person or a bad player. In fact, I think he's an extremely talented technical player. Great with the ball at his feet, great at link-up play. That's where his strengths lie. It's just at Manchester United, there's too many people ahead of him in the pecking order, and he's never going to play as a centre-forward in an Amorim system, because a lot of that relies on physical ability in and out of possession, which he doesn't really have. It's unfortunate for him, though. 21 is coming saying he'll have the FA Cup. Look, he can't do anything until January anyway. So when does the FA Cup start? It normally starts in Jan, doesn't it? Does it start in January this year? Or does it start earlier? I can't remember. Either way, I think he's going to want a loan move, probably to Italy. Maybe to Napoli. I don't know. Denton saying, I feel that Zirkzee and United's relationship was just a perfect match, but the wrong time. I wouldn't say it's a perfect match, if I'm being honest. And Anthony, you're saying he's a perfect number 10 in this system. I don't discount his qualities as a number 10, but as I said before, I'm playing Cunha and Mbeumo, Mount and Bruno. And probably Ahmad. All ahead of Zirkzee in the number 10 roles. in this Ruben Amorim team. Now, there's going to be games and moments and situations where you actually want Zirkzee on in one of those roles, but that's going to be like the last 15, 20 minutes of games. I feel for him. I just think it's probably a case of bad squad building from Manchester United on that signing. Right. And, of course, the next conversation exists. I mean, it's far from an exclusive, and it's far from a new conversation. John, you're saying that FA Cup third round's the 10th of Jan. So is that when United enter? We enter the League Cup in the round 2 this year because we didn't have European football, I think. And he's saying a big issue about Zirkzee is that he doesn't know what he is. Pick a position and specialise. He's not fast enough to play as a centre forward, and he's not diminutive enough to play as a number 10. Traditional number 10, as in how you would see number 10s. So he's a 9.5, somewhere in between. But Cobby, right? Hearing that Cobby's unhappy about his current situation, current lack of game time, this won't change until he's starting games of football. And I'm not sure that's going to happen. Honest to God, in terms of predictions, have I got a photo up of them both here? No, I don't. In terms of predictions, I think I might do a video separately on this. Not yet. Maybe a little bit later, maybe closer towards January. I want United to loan Cobby out in January. If nothing changes between now and then, in terms of the opportunities he's getting, I mean like real opportunities. I'm not just talking about coming off the bench for 15, 20 minutes. I'm not even just talking about coming off the bench. I want to see him starting games of football. That's the only way that he gets those opportunities. I want Cobby to be loaned out in January because, and this is just an opinion, you might disagree with this one. I think Cobby, the way that Cobby views Manchester United, I think there's a chance that gets tainted and broken if we keep him at the club for another 6 months from January and we still don't give him the opportunities, and then he doesn't get into the World Cup squad, which he should be in. He should be in the World Cup squad. Someone that Mainoo's a crybaby. Mainoo, I really don't think Mainoo's a crybaby. This is just, I've heard nothing unprofessional at all from Cobby. All I've heard and seen is videos and footage of him just grafting, putting extra work in, doing extra sessions. This is just people coming from, this isn't really coming from Cobby's camp. This is coming from those trying to get a peep in. It feels like a loan decision is the right, because the way I look at it, the succession plan is clear. Bruno leaves in the summer. Cobby steps into his shoes. What United are struggling with this season, and again, a direct consequence of not getting European football. Had we got Europe, had we beat Spurs, would these conversations exist with Cobby? To a far lesser extent. He probably would have been starting some Champions League games. Hell, maybe not. Probably would have been starting Champions League games. I don't think this conversation would be anywhere near as potent as it is. Like, obviously, you're seeing, like, we call these reports whiffy, and that's being generous. United make shock Bruno Fernandes U-turn as 100 million offer lined up, says Callum O'Connell. Thanks, Callum, from Football Insider. I've said this for quite a while now. I don't need to look at a whiffy report to suggest this, but Bruno Fernandes leaving the club in the summer feels like this. It feels like the plan. It's not like a club making a U-turn. It just feels like the plan. Let's see what happens, all right? But I think this is kind of why United are struggling, because you've got Bruno and you've got who I see is the successor to Bruno in that position. I'm not saying that he's going to replace everything that Bruno brings to the team, because good luck finding that. But I'm saying from the squad position perspective. So you're going to see loads more reports all linking Bruno to a move away in the summer. And it doesn't mean that they're right if it ends up being proven correct. They're just jumping on something which could potentially happen. I think it will. Let me see what you're saying down here. Cobby does need to learn, says JC. He simply wants to play for the club he loves. Zirkzee was a signing of convenience at the time due to his buyout clause rather than a tailored fit, says Giz. I think there's probably an element of truth in that, mate. I'll be honest. Amrin must play Mainoo, says Gugotso. I don't think it must play. What I said that Amrin must do, if Amrin's going to say that there's a competition for a place, which I think should be the case in every single position in the Manchester United squad, then to create competition, you have to give opportunities. That's kind of the point I always make. And I don't think just giving a little subs appearance here or there is giving opportunities. Samir saying Grimsby hurt United more than Champions League. I mean, I'm not sure that's true. Let's be honest. How long has he got left on his contract? I don't know, if I'm honest. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see Zirkzee push for a move in January. I would actually expect it. I would predict it because I don't think his situation is going to change. I really don't. He won't get ahead of Šeško in the pecking order. We're playing once a week. There's no need to rest players this season. There's no need for rotation this season. As long as those players are fit, they rest well during the break. So look, let's have a look at the fixtures coming up, right? Is there any point in the next few months where fixtures start to pile up? I know the answer to this, but just out of curiosity, I'm going to have a quick look. So October. We've got 2 games of football in October. I don't think anything's going to go wrong there. November. You've got 7 days between Forest and Spurs. Then you've got 16 days between Spurs and Everton. Then you've got 6 days between Everton and Palace. November, you've got 4 games of football. Now, December, we all know, is the fixture pile-up. How bad is it for United this year? Actually, I haven't looked at this yet. Normally, you have about 7 games in December, don't you? So you've got December the 3rd and the 6th, 3 days. Then you've got 7 days. Then you've got another 7 days. And another 7 days. And then 3 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in December. That's as busy as it's going to get. So you could see some rotation. I mean, you're probably going to have to see some rotation there. Only 3 days between West Ham and Wolves. Then a week. Then a week. Then a week. Then 3 days. The point is that the fixtures don't go crazy. You might get some rotation in December, but that's about as far as it goes. Yeah. My own personal opinion on this is that Bruno leaves United in the summer. It's not something I'm saying now. I've said it for a little while. And then United reinvest that money into central midfield. And then Cobby goes in and becomes the number 8 replacement for Bruno inside the squad. That's the way that I see it. So United are having to deal with that succession plan this season in a season where we don't have European football. And therefore we don't have enough games to rotate and keep everyone happy. Jawad saying, I'm not calling for Bruno's head, but his inclusion in the team causes a massive instability. Is he clutch? Amrin playing him as a deep midfielder, which he isn't, and leaving Cobby is a madness. That comes through United's it's a consequence of United's strategy this summer. 2 things that happened, really. Number 1, Bruno rejected a move to Saudi. And number 2, United decided to spend their big money on 2 number 10s. Both of those 2 things have led to Bruno being deeper. Because Bruno's too good to not having your start 11. But Bruno is the absolute classic example now, recent classic example of how your best team isn't always your best players. Because we know his best position is not deep. Would I say Bruno is the last player I want to receive the ball off our centre-backs? I think I probably would. Like the last player in our team. Obviously, you put Šeško down there, but there's no chance I want Bruno receiving the ball there. I know that he can look up and spray a 60, 70-yard pass, and that has its benefits and power sometimes, sure. Bruno's so good near the opposition goal that you're taking away his biggest strength. And you're asking him to do something he's learning on the job. You can't really learn on the job in the Premier League. You get exposed quick. But Bruno playing deep is a consequence of United's strategy this summer. And he's saying, speaking hypothetically, if Palace would take Mainoo and some cash for Wharton, would you take it? I bloody love Wharton. I don't personally want to sell Cobby. I don't want to think about selling Cobby. Do I think he's a complete midfielder? No. Do I think any player of that age is a complete midfielder? No. Do I think that he can be an incredible midfielder for United? Yes. Do I think he can develop at United? Yes. Would I like to see him develop? Yes. I want to see Cobby stay at the club. I want to see Cobby step into the Bruno's shadow when he leaves. And United won't be able to replace Bruno with one player. I think we've spoken about this before. There will be elements of his game which he can replace, and other players will take up the mantle. And you almost need like just your team to come as a collective to replace what Bruno adds, a peak Bruno adds to the team. But no, I don't want to sell Cobby. Don't even want to think about it, really. Little separate conversation here, just to wrap up the show. This is about the potential trip to Saudi. Now, again, you want to talk about inevitability, another direct consequence of United. We're just kind of speaking through the consequences of us not beating Spurs in the Europa League final here. United planning a mid-season jolly to Saudi. And they could earn up to 10 bloody mil from it. Of course they're going to do it. Exact same way they did that money-spinning post-season tour. Boy, was that depressing. It's the end of the season, like, finally it's over. Oh. Please don't tell me I've got to watch 2 games of United in Hong Kong and Malaysia. Please. Oh, I do. Great. That's what it was like watching those 2 games. This is just going to be... Look, this is from the Daily Mail as well, saying there's kind of 3 different options. United could play in the Riyadh Season Cup 3-way tournament with Ronaldo's club and Darwin Núñez's club. Earn 5 mil a game. Maybe play an exhibition game against a Saudi All-Star team, which is what PSG did before. Or just, don't know, go over there, do a warm weather training camp, and play a one-off game. We're going to earn somewhere between 5 and 10 mil from it. So, of course, we're going to do it. Direct consequence of no European football and the calendar being free. And do not be surprised, by the way, if there's more than one of these. Because if United can do more than one of these this season, they definitely will do more than one of these. And we're free for the whole year. That's just, again, a bit of a prediction from me. You're mad. Mainoo's got no turn of place. So Farrell hasn't got any strength. Mainoo's not got any strength. Okie dokie. He's certainly been working on that turn of pace. I think he employed an what are they called? Not explosive coach. Is it plyometrics? No, that explosion off. I know, something like that. Anyway, can't remember. Right, I'm going to wrap up on that one. Last couple minutes of the show. Fire any questions you want me to speak about. Zirkzee, wouldn't be surprised to see him leave. As I said, my lunchtime video will be on Zirkzee and Mainoo today. And just the overall conversations about unhappy players. Wharton, Baleba, and Mainoo. I mean, that's never going to happen. It is never going to happen. By the way, I mentioned this to you before. We're going to be starting a transfer series across the whole season. We're going to be starting it next week. And the first player that we're going to be speaking about is Carlos Baleba. So it's going to be like if you weren't here before, I'll explain it to you again. It's going to be like a purely informative video. Kind of going to try and remove my opinion from it as much as possible. What's actually been going on this season? How has he been playing? What games has he played in? How many minutes? How many touches? What mistakes has he made? What has Fabian Hurtzelaar said? What has Carlos Baleba said? Is it as bad as it might look from the outside looking in? That's going to be coming next week, hopefully. And then the week after that, we're going to be doing the same video on Adam Wharton. Then after that, the week after, we're going to hopefully be doing one on Elliot Anderson. And then after we've done those 3, which I think are the 3 Premier League midfielders we should be looking at, we're probably going to take a look at some younger players from around the world as well. Like, I would love us to do a video on Bouadi from Lille. I think it's a player that we should be looking at, and a kind of a player who is in the Euro category before he left. And if there's any others like that you think we should look at, you can send in your questions. Alex saying, any news on the in-person meetup? Yeah, we're getting some quotes back on some venues, and we'll then be putting out the surveys in a bit more detail. We're speaking to Jimmy about it. Yep, Hayden Hackney might be a video that we do. Or maybe we can do a video on the championship and pull out some players. Not quite sure. Look, thank you all for tuning in. If you can, please do subscribe if you're new. And drop a like on the video. I'll be back at lunchtime today, as I said. Video on Zirkzee and video on Mainoo and sort of potential January exits and frustrations. And yeah, I'll be back here tomorrow morning at 10. Take it easy.